Tanse, Shannon Leddy, Nitseka-san, Neochi, Saskatoon, Equa, Vancouver. Hello, my name is Shannon Leddy. I'm a member of the Métis Nation, and I am originally from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is Treaty 6 territory in Canada. I now live in Vancouver on Musqueam territory on the west coast of Canada, and I serve as an associate professor of art education at the University of British Columbia. I'm sorry I was not able to be there in time to join you in person, but I will do my best to respond to the questions in advance. I teach two classes in our Bachelor of Education program at the University of British Columbia that are aimed to educate students to become secondary art teachers. Because I'm also heavily involved in Indigenous education and in environmental education, I'm always looking for avenues to help my students practice art education in ways that are sustainable and promote respect for and connection to the land. Last year, we had the opportunity to directly connect art making to the land through the work of Musqueam weaver Deborah Sparrow. Sparrow has been working for decades to revive many of the Coast Salish weaving traditions that have been lost to or eroded by colonization through initiatives such as her Blanketing the City project, which has involved murals and light displays throughout the city of Vancouver. More recently, she's turned her attention towards not just the design work involved in weaving, but to the materials she uses as well, and has been working with the Indigenous Garden at the University of British Columbia Farms to source and process stinging nettles into fibers suitable to weave with. Having invited Sparrow to visit with my teacher candidates, I also wanted to help them understand the way in which she draws from the land to create her work, and so arranged for students to spend a day at the garden, engaging both with Indigenous ways of thinking and knowing in ceremony, and ending with some practice in processing nettles. Buoyed by the morning's lessons, prompts, and smudge ceremony, students were more than ready to observe the ways in which garden staff and volunteers soaked and or boiled the nettles to soften them, and to learn the techniques involved in smashing the stem nodes to allow the fibers to peel into long and more usable strips of sturdy fiber. Spending the day out of doors carries its own magic. We heard and wondered over the various bird songs, watched the ways in which the wind shifted the grasses and trees around us, and found ourselves falling by times into equally profound conversations and silences. At the end of the day, I asked each of them to assess how the experience had made them feel, and reminded them that they could make space in their curriculums to create such opportunities for their own students as well. In response to the third question, there is no question in my mind that offering students the chance to connect art making to the lands from which their art making materials come from offers a set of insights into the interconnectedness of all things and the foundational importance of sustainability practices that would otherwise be unavailable to them. Engaging students in the production of art materials such as paints, dyes, inks, and papers, and even foraging on riverbanks to make their own clay, invariably offers them deeper respect for both process and product and a better sense of their own responsibility in how they engage with arts. In response to the final question, to make land-based learning possible, there are indeed a few systemic changes that need to be made. For example, in the Canadian context, and certainly in the context of Vancouver, where I was at one time a high school art teacher, there would need to be a reduction in the administrative burden placed on teachers to engage parental permissions for taking students outdoors beyond the bounds of the school campus. In the alternative, a systemic investment in school gardens, including both culinary plants and those nurtured for their fabric dyeing potential, would be tremendously educative and transcurricular. Including foraging and pigment making in art curriculums from the earliest grades would also set students up to be naturally predisposed to practices that sustain not only themselves as budding artists, but the very planet, which in turn sustains us all.